Oh, so when you boil it, it turns darker?
Well, not all the time. Okay, what happens now is we'll come in and we'll collect twice a day, if we're lucky, if we have the sap. We haven't had much sap this year. It's been really terrible. This gentleman just helped us out with what you saw, with quite a few gallons of sap. That really helps. We'll bring the sap in here, and we'll realize this. Oh, by the way, every morning we collect, and every afternoon we collect. We got to carry this through the woods with 5-gallon buckets. So we're always looking for volunteers.
Okay.
Do I say anything? Volunteers? Thank you, guys. You're the first two guys that raised their hand all day. Nobody else wanted anything to do with it. Anyway, we bring the buckets in here, and we put it through what we call, this is just nothing more than a milk filter that farmers use. And it's got a paper filler in the bottom. And what this does, it collects all the animals that are in the bags, the ants, the moths, and stuff like that. And then plus, as you're carrying it through the woods, you get twigs in the buckets and stuff. And it keeps it filtered so that what goes in here is pretty clean.
Yeah.
We can't keep this in here very long because you can't really keep sap for more than maybe 5 days. And this is insulated. We try not to because it can sour. Right now the temperatures are cooler and maybe we get a little leeway, but we have to be very careful. You know, so that tells us two things. Number one, even though this is insulated, we want to get it out of here and boil it as fast as we can. Once you boil it, you get the bacteria out of it, and then you can store it if you want to. But we don't. What we do, we'll pump it out of here, and we'll pump it into what we call preheater. It just drizzles in here really slow so that when it goes into our pan, it doesn't stop our boil. We keep the boil going, and like again, right back to the same thing. We've got to boil as much as we can. We keep our batches at 150 degrees, 150 gallons, I'm sorry. Yeah. And the reason we only do 150 gallons a batch is because we can handle it once we get it out of here. Because we go from batch to batch to batch. We don't store it. We'll get it down, we'll boil this down to about 5 gallons. So just think about that. 150 gallons of sap is going in here. Yeah, that means there's 140 some gallons going out through the roof. It's water. It's all just water. Once we get it down to about 5 gallons in a pan, we'll take it out of here and we'll put it in a bucket like up there. And we'll leave it in, we'll take and wrap that bucket with a blanket and we'll leave that sit overnight. And the reason we leave it sit overnight is because unfortunately with sap, when you're cooking it, as clear as that looks, one thing we get that we don't want is what we call sugar sand. It's nothing more than minerals that the tree draws up. This is just minerals that the tree draws up because even before it starts to leaf, it's constantly drawing the sand up.
So do you use that? Do you use the minerals too?
Why do you call it sand?
Because it's granular. It's just like sand. It's just like sand. We used to give this. We used to save it. Because a lot of guys would take this and they'd use it for bait, for bears and stuff like that. But we don't do that anymore. That sand has to all be filtered out. So when we take it out, they told you we put it in that bucket and we leave it settle. That sand settles to the bottom. The next morning we'll come in, we'll siphon it out into another bucket. Once we get it into that bucket, and we'll take and put that up on the stove. We'll heat it up to 200 degrees. You got to remember now, we're awful close to syrup. It's not quite 66%. We want to keep it a little bit below because we got a lot of filtering to do. We'll take it, after we get it up to 200 degrees, you see those filters in the corner back there? We take and those filters got to be wet and they got to be hot. And it will filter through that. And you've got to remember to put a bucket underneath it just once in a while because common sense. But anyway, we'll filter through there. That'll be our first filter. Then we'll take and put it back up there again. And all this time we keep monitoring to make sure we know exactly where we are as far as the percentage of syrup to water. We'll take and put it back up there, heat it up again. We'll test it to see where we're at. Then we'll take and filter it again because now we're almost pure sugar or pure maple syrup. We'll filter it again to filters just like that. Then we'll take and once it's filtered through there, we'll put it up there, and that's what we use for bottling. We get it up to about 180 degrees for bottling. And then we'll take the bottles, once we get them full and capped, we set them upside down, just make sure that the caps are sealed and they're not leaking. Because if they leak, the syrup will crystallize in the bottle. And then once we know that they're all good bottles, they're not leaking and everything, and they're clean, it's clear and everything, the syrup's good, then we're able to sell it, or that's a donation to the park. All the money we make stays right here in the park.
Oh, so you got